Hey everyone, this is Yash welcoming all of you to our channel. Today we are going to be building a police complaint registration platform. About a month ago, we saw an area in India, that built their FIR registration on blockchain. It was also covered on popular publishing platforms like Cointelegraph. Many cases were not being registered in that area either due to political influence or because of corrupt officers, I'm not sure. To solve this issue, blockchain was a no-brainer and the government has implemented it successfully. This idea inspires our today's project and I'll quickly show you what are we going to build today. So this is a simple FIR portal, a simple front end that we have built for the smart contract that we have built in the previous video. We will be going over all the steps. We will deploy the contract and then we will add that contract into this front end. We'll build this front end from scratch. So let's start with the demo. As you can see, you just have to enter whatever your complaint ID was and you can get what is the status of your complaint that you might have registered. If you change the number, crime 2 and all the details are available like this. So this is for someone who is a user. Let's connect our wallet over here. So currently I am connected to a user wallet. We also have an officer wallet, an officer dashboard that is a little bit different. I'll show that. Switch account. Officer. As you can see, the officer can check which are the pending approvals, which are the pending resolutions, and the next pending approval ID. So which is the next ID that is to be checked and to be approved. We can check that as an officer. As you can see, this is a full-fledged app. This app, or this dApp rather, can be a good addition to your portfolio as a blockchain developer. The next ID is 4. We can check over here what is the status. See, the approval status is still pending. Now as we can see, crime 4 is still to be approved. Let's say we want to approve it. We can go over here, add a remark. We can either approve or decline whatever we think as per the title of this complaint. Click on approve. And as you can see, the transaction has passed and this has also changed to the remark that we have given. Similarly, we can also resolve the case and then this status and remark will also be changed. We'll now check how can a user come and file his complaint over here. So let's switch back to the user ID, or rather the user account. We can enter a title, let's say crime important. I'm not sure, I'm just adding some random value, and this was a serious crime. Then we'll click on file complaint. We have this nice push notification for them to understand that the process is still going on. Click on confirm. The transaction will take some time. As you can see, my complaint ID is 10. I have to note this down and keep it somewhere. So let's say I want to check what is the status. See, the title is given over here. Approval is obviously not yet done. Resolution is still pending. So this is what we are going to build today. I hope you will enjoy this. If you enjoy these builds, please smash that like button and also subscribe to our channel. A lot of builds are coming up next in the future videos. Now let's have a look at the tech stack that we are going to use in this build. For the front end, we will use Next.js, a very powerful tool. For styling, we will obviously use Tailwind because we are using Next.js, and we will not get deep into the styling as this is not a CSS tutorial. I will provide a gist that you can simply copy and paste. And for deploying our contract, we will be using ThirdWeb. Let's start by deploying our smart contract. I've already created a release file for you. Simply click on the first link in the description to navigate to this deploy page. If you want to understand the entire Solidity code, you can check out the previous video that we built. In that we have built the entire code and explained the entire code. Anyways, moving ahead, let's start with our deployment process. So here you need to connect your wallet first. We are going ahead with the Matic Mumbai testnet, but the same process applies for a live Ethereum net or even the Polygon mainnet or Binance Smart Chain, any chain, any EVM based chain. So for development and testing purposes, we are going ahead with Mumbai Matic testnet. Our wallet is connected. We can see what are the functions that are available in this smart contract. The sources, here also you can check what is the Solidity file, what does it look like. The ABI is also there, any events, the events that are being emitted from this smart contract. Let's deploy this smart contract now. As you can see, we need an officer address in this, so we will be needing 3 MetaMask accounts for this. I have already created them. First one is going to be the deployer account, the admin account. The second one is going to be the officer account, and third one is going to be the user account. So we switch to account 2 so that we can copy it, switch back to account 1, paste it over here, and we'll check that we are on account 1. Yes. Then we click on deploy now. Approve the transaction. The transaction has been approved and our smart contract is live at this address. Now that we have our smart contract address, let's start with the front-end development. So let's open a new tab, and as I said that we are going to use Next.js, let's start by setting it up. So we'll search for Next.js and Tailwind CSS. So the first link should guide you correctly. Yes, this is the link. We'll copy this line. Since we are not using TypeScript, we are going with JavaScript. We only have to copy this. Copy. Open a terminal and navigate into the folder that you want to start this build in. Paste it. Instead of my project, we will name it complaint registration, something like this. Let's click on enter, then yes. Would you like to use TypeScript? No, for now. ESLint, yes. Now let's give this installation some time.
A few moments later.
Okay, so our installation has been completed. Let's cd into our folder and open it in Visual Studio Code or whichever code editor you might prefer. So this is the folder structure that is provided to us. We also need to do few more steps. Let's get back to our guide, and here we have seeded into this. Then we have to add this command, paste, make sure you are inside of that folder. This is done. We need to install this. We have initialized Tailwind. Next we have to copy this file, tailwind config.js, paste it here, save, close. Next we go inside of global CSS, paste it here, save, and we are done with the guide. Let's close this. Now we are all set up and ready for beginning our front-end development. Let's start by installing the dependencies that are required. I'll provide this in the description. Let's open up a terminal over here. These are the dependencies that we'll be requiring. Okay, so finally this is done. Now let's begin with our tutorial. First, let's get into our app.js. Here we need to import those dependencies. So these are the two dependencies, and we'll also have to wrap our app around it. So the return statement needs to be like this. First one is going to be ThirdWeb. ThirdWeb. Desired chain ID is going to be chain ID dot Mumbai. Close this. We also need to have the toaster from React Hot Toast to show those beautiful notifications. This takes care of our app.js. Let's move ahead to index.js. There's a lot of stuff that we don't require. Firstly, this main tag and footer tag, we don't need it, so we are going to get rid of it. In the head tag, let's change this to complaint registration, and this can be, the description can be, this is a complaint filing dApp. That takes care of the head tag. Next, let's import from ThirdWeb. We will be requiring use address, use contract, and use contract read. All of this we'll be going over one by one in this tutorial. So the first thing is we will be requiring a user address who is signed into the app. We'll be requiring that. So for that, we will be using const address will be equal to the use address that we just imported. So this will give us the user's address. I have planned the app in such a way that we'll add components below this head tag, and then we'll make those components one by one. So firstly, we'll be requiring a header. We currently don't have a header, so let's go to our pages folder. Let's create a folder called components, and let's add the header header.jsx. We'll do RAFCE. So with this, we now have an header. We can import it over here. It is auto imported for us. Let's see how our app is currently looking. We'll do yarn dev in the terminal. This will spin up a development server, and our app is available on localhost 3000. Let's navigate into our app. Localhost 3000. So as you can see, complaint registration, this is the title that we gave, and we have a header over here. Let's switch back to our code. So let's start by designing our header. We don't require this. As you can see, index is not saved. Let's save that file, come back to header. We'll hide this terminal for now by pressing Ctrl J. Here we need to have one import from ThirdWeb, that is going to be Connect Wallet, as we want the Connect Wallet button in our navbar or the header that we have planned. Also, before beginning, we should add our CSS to the globals file. I am going to provide you with a gist. You can copy and paste it into that. So let's go into styles, global CSS. I'll bring the CSS into this. Let's paste it here, save. So all the styling is already done for you. We don't want to waste time in that. Now let's begin with our header. So our header is going to have a div with class name, header container. It will also have an h1 which says, let's say, FIR portal. This will be kind of our logo. And we'll have a Connect Wallet button over here that we have imported. Now let's check how our header is looking. So this is the current look. We need to style our header a little bit better. We need to change the styling for this. Class name will be header logo. And Connect Wallet can also have accent color as blue, and it will have color mode. Color mode should be light. So these accent color and color mode I have taken from the ThirdWeb documentation. You can refer to the docs as well. I'll add the link to this in the description below. I guess our header component is complete. Let's check it in the Google Chrome. So this looks pretty decent. Now let's get back into our index and build the next component. That is going to be complaint. This is where a user can come and register his complaint. So we do not have a complaint inside of components yet. Let's create that first. So let's go to components, create file, complaint.jsx. We'll do RAFCE. Get back into this, do complaint, enter. Now we have our complaint inside of index.js. We'll go back to the complaint JSX and edit this. Let's start by removing this complaint, and we have a div. This div will have styling of this class name. We have already done the styling as I said. Then we need to have a p tag. That says file your complaint here. This p tag will also have a class name of complaint title red. Below this we need to have a div. This div will have a class name of md flex and items center. Inside of this div we'll have a title with class name of complaint text margin, and we'll also have an input tag. Type is going to be text. With a class name of container input. We can have placeholder text to be let's say enter title here. Then after this div we'll have another div with similar composition. But from title it will change to description. And the placeholder text will be enter description here. Also we need to have a button with class name of button common, and on hover we want that button's background to change to blue 900. We'll call this button as file complaint. So I think this is pretty much it for the complaint JSX. The return part, obviously we need to add some functionality to these buttons and input fields. Let's check how our app is currently looking. So we have this beautiful file your complaint section over here. We'll go back into our code and let's check for container input inside of globals. So here I guess this 75 pixel is causing issue. Now let's move it to our description. My bad. To title. Yes, so now this looks pretty and we are done with the styling of our first component. Let's add some functionality to this. Firstly, we'll need two imports. That is going to be from ThirdWeb and from React Hot Toast. We need use contract, contract read, and contract write. So let's start one by one. Initially, we need to set the title and description. So for that, we'll need a use state. We'll import that as well. Use state. Here we can do here we can have const let's say title and set title is going to be use state, an empty string. Then we can have description. Set description like so. We also need to have our contract address in an environment variable. So we can do that by going into the root of this folder and adding a .env.local file. Inside of that, we need to add next public smart contract, and we need to paste the smart contract address that we have created on ThirdWeb. So let's go back to ThirdWeb. Inside of our dashboard, copy it from here. Let's go back into our app, paste it. It should be a string. Save and close this file. So let's import that over here. So to do that, we can use the ThirdWeb dashboard that we currently saw. Let's go back to the dashboard. We can go in this code section. Here, as you can see, this is the import that we are using, and we can have this use contract hook straight away from here into our code. But instead of this, we are going to use our environment variable. You can just copy it from here. Where are you? Control-C and paste it here. We don't need the is loading and error, so we can remove that. We have our smart contract instance right here. Next, we'll need the file complaint function, so that also can be imported from the dashboard itself. Let's go back to the dashboard, and here in functions we need the file complaint function, so that can be directly copied from here. Let's go back into our code, paste it. Again, here we don't require this is loading. So ThirdWeb makes it really easy for us as developers. That is why we have chosen ThirdWeb for the deployment and integration purpose. Now that we have our function and the contract instance, let's move ahead. We'll also need a ID to read, which is the current ID that is going, so that we can pass it in the arguments. So that also can be imported from ThirdWeb. Like so. We'll get into the dashboard once. As you can see, there are the write functions. Any function that you choose, it directly gives you the hook and a pre-made function. We can use that. We are going to use this. There are also read functions. We took the next ID from here, simply copied this. So this is a pretty useful and powerful tool that all of us should utilize. Let's get back into our code. Let's create a function to handle this complaint, but initially we need to set the title and the description from our input tag. So let's get into our title tag, and on change we need to capture the E and set title, the target value of this E. This will set the value. Similarly, we'll do this for set title, and now we are going to replicate this in set description. So this takes care of our input values. Now we'll create a function for a button. Let's call it handle complaint, and that function will be triggered on this click. Handle complaint. Let's copy this, create a function over here. This is going to be an async function since we are writing on the blockchain. We will have a try catch block in this. If there is an error, simply says console.error as contract call failure with whatever the error has been captured. If it goes inside the try block and doesn't catch the error, we will have to go into our dashboard of ThirdWeb and look for the file complaint. We can simply copy it from here, go back into our code and paste it here. So this takes care of our handle complaint. To have beautiful notifications with this, we will need to add some toast notification stuff over here. So we can say const notification is equal to toast.loading. So while the function is still loading, we can have a text saying filing complaint. Now if there is success with this, okay, so we also need to change this arguments to title and description, because that is what we are passing in the use state, and we have set it using our input. Now let's say that this file complaint goes through. We also need to change the notification. We'll say toast.success and we'll have a template literal saying complaint filed. Note your complaint ID, and that is going to be the next ID that we have imported, that we are reading over here. So this is how they can come on our portal later on and check that what is the status of their complaint. So this comes with another ID of notification. That's our toast.success. After this, we need to set the title back to null, or rather empty string, and set description to an empty string. Also, we need to handle this notification in error. We can say toast.error we can say sorry, something went wrong. This also comes with the ID of notification. That is our handle complaint function. Go back into our index.js. Here we also need to import our contract. Now that our complaint.jsx is complete, let's move ahead and add the rest of our components in the index.js file. So we have a status and we have admin controls. So these are the two imports that we need. We need to add them in the components folder as well. Let's call it status.jsx. Let's do an RAFCE. Save this file and we'll add one more. that is going to be admin.jsx, again RAFCE. Save this as well, come back, press Ctrl space and then enter to auto import it, Ctrl space then enter. So we have our status and admin also. We have built the header complaint. Now it's time for our status component. Let's get inside of that, remove this, an empty div. Let's first import ThirdWeb. Let's start by designing our status page. So the main div is going to have the class name of status container. Inside of this, we are going to have a div with class name of status. Inside of this, we'll have a p tag. This p tag will have a class name of status title. We'll call this p tag as check status of your complaint. Then we'll have a div here with a class name of, let's say, flex, then items center and justify center as well. Inside of this div, we will have another p tag. This p tag will have a class name of status text, and we will be mentioning this p tag as complaint ID. Then we'll require an input tag over here. This will be of type number because we are going to accept the complaint ID in this, and the class name will be status input. And for the medium screens and above, width should be 300 pixels, and we'll also give it a placeholder text as enter complaint ID. We also need to have a use state to set this input, so let's have it over here. We'll say const id and set id should be use state. Okay, use state, and by default the state will be 0. We need to import use state here like this, and now we can set the on change for input field. Here we'll say capture this E and set ID should be E dot target dot value. This is what you do. then the div will be closed. Now we also need to show now in the next div we need to show what is the status of the complaint ID that has been entered in this input field. So let's start to design that. We'll make another div, call this we should give it a class name. Initially we should call it status render container, and on the medium screens or above, the width should be set to 600 pixels. Now inside of this we'll add a lot of p tags. All of them will have similar class name, that is going to be status render title. The first p tag is going to be complaint ID, or rather complaint details. So this is the title of that container that we are making, and after this there are multiple complaint parameters that we are going to display. So let's start. We'll call it p, then class name will be equal to status render text. First one is going to be complaint ID. Let's give it a value of 1 for now. Now instead of giving this value from here, we need to fetch it actually from the blockchain. So let's do that. We'll need to create a few, or rather than creation, I would say we need to use the pre-made template that we get from the dashboard. So we are going to copy it from the dashboard and use it. I've already shown you how to copy and paste it from the ThirdWeb dashboard. So this is the simple use contract that we have already seen, and we need to access the complaints. Here we are using the use contract read hook from ThirdWeb. So with this we can access the complaints. Now instead of writing this, we can add JavaScript over here, and we can say complaints, which is available over here, complaints dot id, and then to string. So this will give us the current complaint ID that we have selected. We'll take one more attribute. Class name will be same. Let's just copy and paste it. This is going to be complaint by, and here again we'll add a JavaScript. So this is again going to access complaints dot complaint registered by, and then again this needs to be inside of a bracket, and it should be a to string. Similarly, we'll add the rest of attributes like this. So we have the complaint title, then there is the approval status. So for approval status, what we have done is that we first check that is complaint approved. If it is approved, then we show approved. Then we are saying that else if complaint does not exist, then we can mention as decline, or we can then say that approval is still pending. So that is what we have done with approval status, and the rest are similar to the previous one that we saw. So all this complaints dot title dot registered by ID, all of this is resolved resolution remark. All of this is a part of the struct that we have created. If you have not checked out the previous video, do watch it so that you know that what we are doing over here. So this is it, and we only need to show this when there is an input in the input box that we have created. That is why we are going to add this, where we check if the complaints is valid, and it closes over here. So our status part is complete now. Let's move ahead to the admin.jsx, which is the last component. Let's remove this, an empty div to start. Let's start by importing from ThirdWeb React. As usual, we are going to use contract read, and use contract write. So to save time, we are going to directly add our code over here, and I'm going to go over this code briefly. In short, what we are building is a admin panel sort of, which looks something like this. So here you can see we have two cards. One is pending approvals and one is pending resolutions. Using this pending approvals, the officer can enter a complaint ID and then he can give a remark. He can either approve or decline the complaint that has been filed by a user. All the records will be available on blockchain. If it is approved, then why. If it is declined, then why. Also, coming forward to pending resolutions, here we can check. Here the officer actually can enter complaint ID and then give a resolution as to how the case was closed. So these are the two cards that we have built. As you can see, we have pending approvals p tag, this one. In the next div, we have a button which says next pending approval ID. After clicking this, we get ID which is yet to be approved. So in this case, IDs 1, 2 and 3 are already approved, and fourth one is the next one. So he can go and check over here by entering 4. Then he'll get the status and then he can add remarks. So as we saw, the first div is for pending approvals. In this div, we have a button which gives us the next pending approval, which is the next ID that is yet to be approved. We can run this function get pending approvals and we'll get an ID in response. The next div is made for taking input of complaint ID. With this, we have an input box which sets the ID, and then we have the remark of the officer, and then we are setting that as officer's remark. After that, we have two buttons, approve and decline. On approve, this function will be run, and on decline, handle decline complaint function will be run. We are yet to build these functions. This is the main part which we are going to code together. Then we have another div which is of pending resolutions, and this div is pretty much similar to what we just saw above. It is just changing of the functions, and the inputs that are being given. So now that we are clear with the front-end code, let's get into the JavaScript and blockchain integration of this dApp. So firstly, let's create the set ID, set a remark, all of these setters, we could say, by using useState. We have not yet imported useState, so let's do that as well. useState. So here we are setting the ID and resolution ID as 0, and both the remarks, approval remark and resolution remark, as empty strings, and they are being given values in the respective input boxes. Next, we need to have the contract instance, which we initiate like this. We need to have next ID, obviously, so that also we have previously seen in this tutorial. We need to have pending approvals and pending resolutions. This is also been taken from the dashboard like this. This 0 is the argument that we are passing. Next, we require two write functions, which is calculating the pending approval IDs and calculating pending resolution IDs, followed by three most important functions of this, which is approving of complaint, resolving of complaint, and discard complaint. So all this data obviously we are receiving from directly from ThirdWeb, so we just have to copy and paste it from ThirdWeb's dashboard. That is why we have picked it for our stack. It makes it very easy for our development. Now let's build our first function, that is going to be get pending approvals. So let's begin with get pending approvals, which is over here. This is going to be async function. Here again we are going to copy and paste from ThirdWeb. So we are using the calculate pending approvals ID. This is pretty self-explanatory. Next function is going to be similar. Here we are going to get the pending resolution ID. Same, just copy and paste. I have only changed this value and this one. After that, we are going to have handle approve complaint. So let's create that function. Async again, this is copied and pasted from ThirdWeb's dashboard. All these functions are available. If you do not remember, let me take you back to the dashboard. So here we go, inside of code. So we have approve complaint. This is what we just copied and pasted. This one. So this is simply just copy pasting that we are doing. This is why it is so easy with ThirdWeb. Next function is going to be handle decline complaint. Similarly, just I have changed the names, and then we have handle resolve complaints. So these take care of all the functions that are required. Our admin .jsx is also complete. We are more or less done with this. One more thing that is left is we need to have this admin panel visible only to who is the officer that is going to interact. So for that we need to get inside of index file, and here we need to have a variable that has the officer address stored. So to do that, initially we need to have the officer's address, which can be brought like this from ThirdWeb. We need to add JSX like this. So we'll say if officer is equal to address, the current address. If this is true, then you can show admin, or else admin will be hidden. Now for those guys who directly want to clone this and use it, I am going to refer you to my GitHub repo. Link is already provided in the description. So you can directly clone this from here, and the steps are also given of how to use this. These are 8 easy steps that you can use, and obviously if you like this code, do give this repo a star. That's it for today's video, guys. If you got any value from this, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Again, this is Yash signing off. See you guys in the next one.